Now, I think we all remember, many South Africans and many abroad were very shocked when they woke up on Valentine's Day of 2013 to hear that Paralympian hero Oscar Pistorius had fatally shot his girlfriend, Reeva Steenkamp. Now, Oscar has since been sentenced, had a ruling overturned, and this week will be re-sentenced in accordance to a murder charge. And we're joined this morning by criminal law expert William Booth to help us understand the technicalities of this case. Always good to have you on the couch, sir.
Morning, good to be back.
So let's quickly just start at the beginning in understanding the technicalities that, of course, affected and led to Oscar's very first conviction in 2014. What were those technicalities?
Well, the state had argued that he should be convicted on a charge of murder, in line with this doctrine of dolus eventualis. The judge found him guilty on a charge of culpable homicide. In other words, that's the negligent killing of somebody. And then subsequently sentenced him to correctional supervision, where he had to serve a period of time in prison.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say that this is a case that gripped the attention of all people all across the world. Why do you think is it that the previous sentence was overturned, and why is he being resentenced again this week?
Well, the state appealed the conviction and held that the judge was wrong in law.
Yes.
And that's when the case ended up in the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein. The judges there unanimously agreed that Judge Masipa was incorrect in the way she dealt with the evidence and her finding that it was a culpable homicide and not murder in terms of the dolus eventualis concept.
Yes.
Overturned the conviction, found him guilty of murder, and then referred the case back again to Judge Masipa to re-sentence Oscar. Because obviously the type of sentence that can be imposed for culpable homicide vis-a-vis murder is significantly different.
Yes.
The so-called minimum sentence. So he could face up to a period of 15 years in prison.
Yeah. Take us a bit more in depth into what we are likely to hear this week in the courtroom. What do you think will transpire?
Well, the defense has to present evidence first with regard to mitigation. So I'm sure they're going to be calling a number of people to support their argument that Oscar shouldn't go to jail or should receive a sentence significantly less than 15 years, because the defense has to establish what is called in law substantial and compelling circumstances. And, that's not always all that clear, but I think courts must look at all his personal factors, particularly his disability, the fact that he's had a period of months, just on a year, that he has served in prison. And, the state is going to argue after that and also lead evidence and say, look, he should receive 15 years. And in this period of this week, both sides will be presenting evidence, witnesses will be called, social workers, possibly psychologists, maybe members of the respective families might be called to the stand. And then there'll be legal argument dealing with what is the correct sentence. But the difficulty on the part of the defense, that they have to establish substantial and compelling circumstances, convince the judge now on a charge of murder to impose a lesser sentence than 15 years. So, it's that kind of battle
a big
argument.
task for the defense lying ahead. Yeah.
Correct, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, William, for joining us. We always do appreciate your time and your expertise, and I'm sure that South Africans will be glued to the news this week to find out exactly what happens in that courtroom. But right now, time for us to draw some inspiration on this Monday morning.